Hello and welcome to another playthrough by HB Boarding, and today I will be playing Field Commander Alexander, which is a solitary light war game by DVG Games. Uh, the scenario in question which I will be playing today is called Granicus. I don't really know how to pronounce these names, but I think that in Greek C and K are sometimes interchangeable. Otherwise, it would be Granicus, which would also probably be correct. But I'm gonna call it Granicus. That sounds like it's the correct pronunciation. Maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Now, this is a fairly fast-paced game. I think it takes about 30 minutes to complete this scenario in question, and you basically have all the information printed on this map itself. You have the sequence of play here. You have some enemy operations, which we will be looking at later on. Then you have some extra campaign options which you can opt to use, but for today I'm gonna be playing the basic standard game. And then you have the setup of the map or scenario in question. And I've already gone through the setup here. We have Alexander's army, which I have placed on another map of the game. Now the game comes with a scoring sheet, and it has room for battlefield. It has a battlefield arena, so to speak, but I don't like to use this sheet at all. I think it's much more convenient to actually use something harder and a bit easier to place enemy armies and your own army on. The game comes with a couple of different tokens and markers. We have some glory markers here, some gold markers here, some walls, insights, temples and cities. These are markers for either governing or raising an area once you have conquered it. And then we have some battle plans and different advisors. Now for this particular setup you have to choose one advisor, and I have opted to use Parmenion, which basically lowers the enemy battle plans by 3. And that's really helpful while fighting the enemy, because the battle plans are, well, you can look at them as additional tactics or strategies for the enemies to use versus you, so they can either stop a hit or maybe give them some extra power for one turn and such. And with Parmenion you get to draw minimal amount of these battle plans. The sequence of play is fairly self-explanatory. You get to take the enemy turn first, and then you roll a scouting roll, which basically gives you some information on how dangerous it is to move into the next area. The scouting roll depends on the number of forces you have in your army. So if you roll a 5, which would be the number of units we have in our starting army, then the coast is clear. If you roll less than 5, then there is a food shortage in the area in question, and you have to pay some gold to be able to feed your troops. If you would roll higher than your unit count, then you have to suffer a hit, which basically means that you have met with resistance moving into the area in question. Okay, so once you have rolled your scouting roll, you basically decide if it's worth moving into the next area or not. And if you decide that it's not, then you get to gain some gold and you get to spend gold, and the turn ends and you move the marker. You start all over again. You move the turn counter one step further along the turn track, which is over here at the left side of the map. Based on when you complete the campaign, and the campaign is completed by conquering all of the enemy strongholds and pivotal areas. There are 3 strongholds and there are 2 pivotal areas that you have to conquer. One is down here, the southern Greeks. Then we have one Persian army here at Granicus, which you have to defeat, and then 3 Persian strongholds, which you have to conquer. And once you have done that, the game ends, and depending on how fast you can do that, you gain extra victory points. You can also gain additional victory points by building cities, which we can see up here. It costs 5 to build a city, and it costs 3 to build a temple. Temples give you re-rolls on combat rolls. Depending on what advisor you have, for instance, if you have Antipater, you can actually do all of these steps in one turn. But if you do not have him as your advisor, you only get to choose one of these. So you can either build a temple, build a city, or bolster your ranks. If you choose to buy or recruit units, you can actually recruit as many units as you want, depending on how much gold you have. And we start off with 10 gold at the beginning of the first turn. Now once you conquer either a pivotal area or one of the strongholds, you get to decide if you want to govern or raise the area in question. If you choose to govern, you will actually get 5 gold each turn, but you only get this once you have decided that you do not want to move any further. If you choose raise, you get 12 gold immediately, so you can continue on moving, for instance for your scouting rolls and such. So this is one of the major decisions that you have to make in this game, kind of push your luck type of game. And I like to do, if I succeed defeating the southern Greeks without any losses or minimal losses, I like to raise this area in question and then move on towards the right side of the map and try to conquer as much as possible during the first turn. Now I haven't been able to conquer in 2 turns, but I've done it in, I think, in 3 or 4 turns. So I've done decently well, not amazing, but we will get to that later on. Then also on the map are some prophecies, which are basically quests for leveling up Alexander. We take a look at the Alexander token. That's him right there. It says A1, that means Alexander level 1. The 0 next to the A1 is actually Alexander's initiative value, and the initiative value for all troops depend kind of on what type of troop they are. So for instance, the archers have fairly high initiative value, which is kind of logical. They get to attack first, and then we have some heavy cavalry and a couple of infantry units. One of them is phalanx. For the battle values and the battle part of this game, the bottom right number is what you will be looking for, and to inflict a hit on a unit you have to roll equal to or less than your battle value. So for instance, Alexander at level 1 is fairly weak, he only hits on a 1. The phalanx is fairly strong, they hit on a 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then we move over to the heavy cavalry, which also has a battle value of 4, but also has a superscripted 4 above their normal battle value of 4. That basically means that when the companion heavy cavalry hits, they inflict 2 wounds. I think there are some chariot units. Yeah, here we have an enemy chariot unit, for example. They have a battle value of 3 and a superscripted number of 1. So that basically means on a roll of 2 and 3, the enemy chariot unit will inflict 1 wound or 1 hit, and on the superscripted number, which is 1, basically means on a roll of 1 they will inflict 2 hits. Okay, additional rules for battle. The cavalry units, so we have here the heavy cavalry, for example, they only get to attack every other turn. So once they have attacked, they are considered spent for the next turn, and then the turn after they get to act again and get to attack. For the phalanx, we also have some additional rules. If they inflict a hit, so if they are successful in their roll and they attack, they get to attack again, but their battle value lowers by 1. So for instance, if you roll a 3, they will hit, and then their battle value goes down to 3, and then you roll again and you roll a 2, so you hit again, and so on and so on. Most of the units can actually take 2 hits, so once they are inflicted with a wound, you just flip them over and they are considered to have taken a wound, and they generally they get slower at attacking and they are less dangerous at attacking. So at this position for the completely healed heavy cavalry, they have a initiative value of 3 and they have an attack of 4. If they suffer a wound, they get an initiative value of 2 and they only hit on a 3. So you would move them to the second row of initiative values here. For some of these units, it's a bit fiddly. For some of these units, for instance the archers, they can only take 1 hit. So once they have been hit once, they are dead. As you can see on the back side of the archer token, they don't have any values, so they can only suffer 1 wound. Another battle rule considering the battles in this game, the leaders, they can only inflict wounds on each other, or more specifically Alexander can only hit the enemy leaders. And once you have chosen to attack an enemy leader, the enemy leader and Alexander are actually locked in combat and they will only attack each other. If you do not choose to attack the enemy leader, if you allocate hits from Alexander to enemy troops, the enemy leader can still attack your other units. You actually get to decide both where your hits are inflicted on the enemy and where enemy hits are inflicted on you, except, like I said, in the case of leaders fighting each other. Once Alexander has attacked an enemy leader, that's it. You don't get to go back and do damage with Alexander on regular troops that the enemy might have here. If the enemy leader is the lone survivor, or if all other enemy units are destroyed, then the battle is over and the enemy leader flees. He will still count for the gold you will get for the battle, but you will not get to gain additional glory. If Alexander manages to kill the enemy leader, the entire army is destroyed and you get additional glory. Okay, so just a quick look at the Persian forces here on the right side of the map. This is their starting force. They start with an army up here at Granicus, and then they have a stronghold down here at Sardis, then another additional stronghold at Halicarnassus, and then one at Lycia. And to win this game you have to conquer all of these, and your army has to be in Lycia. When that is done, then you have conquered the entire map. To bolster the enemy forces, there are 2 ways you can do this. First of all, there are these enemy orders, which is basically you roll, if you take a look at the chart here, you roll a d6, you add the distance in areas that these strongholds are located to Alexander's army, and then you take a look at the chart and see what happens. Some of these give them additional walls or units, and some of these give additional glory or gold for later turns when you do battle or intimidate them. To conquer a stronghold, you can either battle the stronghold in question, or you can intimidate the stronghold. Intimidating a stronghold is kind of hard, and depends on how many areas you govern and how many areas you have raised, and then also on a bit of luck. So you have to roll fairly high and probably spend additional glory to get to the value, but maybe we can take a look at that if we come to that situation. So the enemy orders can actually bolster the forces in the strongholds. Another way to do that is with enemy operations, which is the next step in the sequence of play. And that is basically this stack of tokens here. So you draw one of these and see what's written on it. For the most part, it's a number of forces. So for instance, it would say one force, and you draw one random force from the Persian cup and you add it to this stack below here, and you can consider these like reinforcements or units in training. And once you draw an operation marker which says go, you deploy these reinforcements, and you do that at Halicarnassus here. The number of forces here depend on how many you have drawn. You get to do this each turn, and this is also a little bit of push your luck kind of element of the game. You can choose to ignore these and let them build up an army and hope that the enemy will not draw the go token, and then basically the Halicarnassus will be pretty easy to conquer. Or you can actually spend gold to cancel these operations, and it will say on each token how much gold you have to spend to actually cancel one of these operations if you want to be a little bit more careful. Generally, this is not a wise idea because gold is pretty scarce, and this game actually wants you to do this in 3 or 4 turns. So if you start spending gold, you will be going further down the track here. And to kind of combat this, you can build cities, because cities give you 5 additional victory points. So you can actually do that. You can build cities in... You can build at most 1 city in each of these areas, and you could do that, and you can actually gain a lot more victory points by doing so. But I think generally the best way to play this scenario is to just push forward and kind of push your luck and see if you can conquer it as fast as possible. Okay, so another thing to talk about is the glory part of the game. So once you defeat an army, at the end of the turn you will actually gain 1 gold for each enemy unit destroyed, but you will also gain 2 glory for each battle that you have won. And that's kind of wrong to say it like that, because you gain the glory immediately. The gold you will gain at the end of the turn, but glory you will gain immediately. You will gain 2 glory for a battle that you have won, and if Alexander managed to kill a leader, you will gain additional 2 glory. Glory is pretty useful because that allows you, if we take a look at the scoring sheet, glory actually allows you to either buy insights or advisors, and you can pay 3 glory to draw a random insight, or you can pay 7 glory to pick what insight you want to take. And insights are basically what they sound like. These are insights into the battle situation. So these, if we flip one of these over, let's take a look. It says trap, inflict d6 hits. So that basically means that Alexander has kind of trapped the enemy and he gets to do additional damage against them. So these are really powerful, really helpful. D6 hits is a lot. Remember, each unit can take 2, or some units can only take 1 hit. So if you roll a 6, you can basically decimate the enemy forces. So these are really helpful, and you really want to have these once you start battling. So it's kind of important for Alexander to actually be able to kill leaders, but I don't know, he levels up quite slowly, so that might not be the best tactics for a fast game. That's why I have chosen Parmenion as my advisor. Alternatively, you could choose Hephaestion, which gives Alexander +1 in battle, which actually makes him easier, or makes him stronger, and makes killing enemy leaders a lot easier.